So a more accurate depiction of what an ear is when I think of an ear is something like this. Here you can see that there's many complex structures that make up our ear, and we're going to go into detail about each of those parts. We have our outer ear, our middle ear, and our inner ear, and that's how I'm going to break down this discussion today. All right, so first we have our outer ear. Here you can see there's two main structures. We have our pinna and our ear canal. Our pinna is basically just the outer part of the ear. When you look at your ear, what you see. So it's visible from just our regular eyes. We don't need any kind of special. So the pinna functions as kind of a collector. It collects the sound from our environment and then funnels it into our ear canal, which then works to transmit the sound deeper to our eardrum, which we are going to talk about next. Does anybody here use Q-tips? Okay. Do you guys think this is like a good, helpful thing for you?
Yes. I've heard how bad they can be for you.
Yeah, so Q-tips are actually really bad for your ears. What happens is, as much earwax or cerumen that you pull out of your ear, kind of nasty, but as much as you see on the Q-tip, that much, if not more, is pushed back into your ear. So you guys can imagine, can anyone think what would happen if the sound can't reach your eardrum?
Can't hear.
You can't hear.
You can't hear. That's exactly right. A little heads up that you should not use Q-tips because they do, in fact, cause an impact in your ear. I heard when I was in middle school, I had a teacher tell me you shouldn't put anything bigger than your elbow in your ear. So that's the rules I like to follow. So, and we started with the pinna. The sound was collected from our environment. It was funneled through our ear canal, made it to our eardrum, so long as there was no wax impacting it. Our eardrum moved back and forth, back and forth. The incus vibrated, the malleus vibrated, and the stapes vibrated, and now we've reached here. Right? So I went really quick through how all the parts of the ear work together so we can understand sound. It travels from our outer ear to our middle ear to our inner ear to our brain, and there's sound. We understand it. Anybody have any questions? So I want to know what you guys think about parents making this really big decision for their child. So let's set the scene. We have a couple. They're married and they have their first child, and they're deaf, and they consider themselves capital D deaf. They're part of the deaf community. Do you think that parents should be allowed to make this decision of whether or not their child should be afforded the opportunity to hear?
I would say no, because I think that's... Oh, sorry.
No, they shouldn't make this decision?
I don't think they should, but I understand why they do. And I think that if you were to try... Because, I mean, parents make so many decisions for their kids already. You know, they say, oh, you're going to be this religion, you're going to do this, and you're going to live this way and eat these things. And so, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, choosing that I don't think is out of the realm of their abilities, but I do think it's unethical, because I think that the ability to hear is so, well, I guess to them it's not very important because they never really had it, but I think that that's something that a child should be able to make a decision on their own.
Does anybody have a different viewpoint of that? Yeah.
I think it should be fine, because like parents, I mean, parents in a lot of places make a lot of important cultural decisions for their children. Like, for example, just the language we speak. It's no different than choosing the language you speak at home. Like if you speak ASL at home, then that's like the language your child will grow up with. And if your child is so inclined to have hearing later, then they could have a cochlear implant later if they want.
That's a really good point. But before you answer that question, I'll get right to you guys. I just want to point out that there's a critical period at when you're born. Is that what you're going to say? Something about?
No, I wasn't going to.
Yeah, there's this critical period when you're born of when learning, you basically be like a sponge. That's what they say. Our brains are like a sponge when we're young. You absorb all these things, and that will be the time for them to develop speech. That's the main thing we're concerned about in the field of audiology, is that a child born with hearing loss, if their hearing loss is not fixed or improved by a certain amount of time, you're risking that child will have a language delay or a language impairment of some sort. So the only problem with this, like I understand what you're saying, later on they'll be able to make that decision. Yes, a child, how can they make that decision as a newborn to say, I want to be able to hear versus I don't want to be able to hear. But once you make that decision for them that they are not going to be able to, it's very difficult for them to choose then later if they would like to, because they've missed that critical period of hearing. The main risk is an infection, which is very easily seen, very easily treated. Personally, I've had experience where I was observing in an audiologist's office where the child had an infection. It's easy to see. It's a little red. It's not like you can't detect it early. It was detected. They were taken out. 2 weeks later, it healed, and he went in for another surgery to get it done. So it's really not a big part of the deaf community make the decision not to do this, and then they're not able to benefit from hearing. So yes, later on they can go and get a cochlear implant, but the acquisition of language is still going to be it's going to take such a long time. Just like, has anybody taken a language, just started a language in college? Yeah, it's a little harder, right? Like, I think back to when I was in middle school starting Spanish. I picked it up so fast, and now, like, if I even thought about taking up a language, I feel like, oh my God, that would be so hard, you know? So I watched my roommate struggle with Spanish starting it in college, whereas my little sister now is in middle school and she's flying through it. So it really holds to be true that, you know, at a younger age it's easy. So I know you mentioned a few things before. We're going to do a quick poll, so if you can go to pollev.com, and this is an open-ended question, so you'll just put in the code 279888 and tell me what are some other things that parents decide for their children. Okay, religion, bedtime, where they go to school, are all great things. So when we think about it, how different is hearing from some of these other things? Religion, that's a huge one. Is it easy to change religion? Would it be easy to change from not hearing at all to hearing? Change the community you're in? Change from being a part of the deaf culture to part of the American culture, or moving to China, becoming part of the Chinese culture? Big things, yeah, sure.
I don't know a lot about deaf culture, but I just feel like people with different religions, like, you can still interact with each other.
Exactly.
People with different, I don't know, who went to different schools can still come together and interact, whereas, like, no matter where you live, like, if you can't hear the language and speak the language, it's such a vital part of communication and human interaction that I think that it's so different than just your religion or your political stance.
Right, that's a great point. Now, when you think about what kind of culture and community you belong to, is it just one or is it many? Think about it, like, many, right? I feel like I'm part of the Gator, right? They always say part of the Gator Nation. I identify with my religion, and I think I'm part of that culture. I'm American, so I find myself that I'm a part of many things. So when you choose to be part of the capital D deaf culture, are you eliminating yourself from some? In a sense, right? But also you're not. You still would have the opportunity as long as you can work around the language barrier. Just like if you're someone who moves here from another country and has to learn another language, eventually you can learn if that's what you want to do. But it takes time, and it is a little harder without ever being exposed to sound.